What's up, guys? This is David with Fixed Ring Build, and today we're going to be pulling out this motor out of a 2004 Yamaha SX230, and I've already pulled it out and put it back in once. It was not too bad, but you know, pulling it out part's easy. It's putting it all back together that was a little difficult. So I figured since I did it one time, maybe I can video it this time, and if I can get the camera set up in a good position. So first of all, what we have to do is these two screws here on the top. You got to undo them, and then you got to pull these clips out and all around, and then you should pop this rod off. Set it over here to the side. Air filter, set it to the side. And now we got these Allen screws. There's 4 of them. They have to come off. And then behind this is a spring that actually is just holding this rubber piece onto this little air thing. So once we get these Allen wrenches out, these 4, then we can take that loose. And then we have other Allen screws that we're going to be taking off, and those sizes are, I believe, no, too big. These are number 5s. Those in the back are going to be number 6s. So, but you got to take these off in the front first, because you can't get to all of these until you take this off. So here we go. We got 2, 4, 6, 8 screws here that we have to take loose. And once you get that all off, this throttle cable is kind of tricky to get to, but you got to loosen these 2 screws up. You want to try to keep it as close to, so you want to try to keep it as close to where it is as possible, so you can remember where it's supposed to go. But you can always adjust this after you get it on the water and running if you need to. So, and this one, this part is a little tricky because it goes in like a pin. See if I can get it on the camera here. There you go. So there it is. So it's a little tricky to get out of there, because you got to push it through, and the cable makes it hard to do, because the cable's in there too. Let's see. Like I've said before, this is kind of hard to do and video at the same time. But if I had a camera guy, it'd be nice. Camera crew. I need a crew. Okay. I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but I'll figure it out whenever I go to edit. But it's pretty easy. It just pops out. Once you get the cable out of the groove, it'll pop right out of there. I think I was covering the lens up there, but anyway, most everything else just kind of plugs and plays. So the fuel line here comes in, and these little bastards are a pain to get off, by the way. So you may have to cut them and then replace them with a C-clamp for the right size hose, which is I believe what I did. I think I I don't think I cut that one, but I was going to. But I actually was able to work it off of there. But it was a pain because it's extremely tight. But then all the rest of our stuff kind of plugs and unplugs, and then you got some hoses, like this hose already took loose, it's got to come loose. And then you got all your water cooling lines, which are here. They're gonna have to come loose. You could leave this one on here and just unhook the main hose, which is right there. But first we got to take these bolts out, and there's two on this side, that one and that one. Then we can take the rest of the air cleaner off. This screw, I believe, this bolt is, I believe, a 14. You'll need some long. Nope, it's a 12. It's a 12. So these are 12 millimeters. Pretty much everything on here is going to be a 12, a 10, or a 14. As far as the bolts go. Some of your C-clamps, of course, you'll need smaller, but oh yeah. So we'll put these in a separate bag, baggie, and these have these little spacers that go underneath here that holds them. So you want to put them in the same bag if you're bagging them up. If you're not, you can throw them wherever, but it's gonna make it easier in the future. All right. And I don't have the baby Allen wrenches that I need for that one, so we're gonna have to go get those. But this is pretty much loose because we already took all the bolts out of it. We just got to get this hose loose, and then this will pretty much pop right out. All right, let me go grab that. All right, so just a little glimpse underneath here. Of course, you got all these that you got to undo. All these little electrical clips. Good news is, all these electrical clips are different. Bad news is, you got to figure out how to get them unclipped. All of them are different, so they're quite a pain in the butt to get to. Anyway, so once you can get them on, all unclipped on the front, then you got to move around to the back. Because there's a whole bunch of them back here too. I think there's about 3 of them, 4 of them back here. You got a hose here that you got to undo, and then another hose going into the exhaust is going to have to be unhooked. But once we get all those done, then we'll revisit where we got to go from there. Alright, so at this point, all this is just sitting in here because it's all loose. But down here, you see this little aluminum cover over the exhaust. There's 6 bolts. They got a number 8 on them. They are not number 8 bolts. They are actually 10 millimeters. And you gotta take them off. And then there is a C-clamp down there on the rubber part, which that aluminum cover covers the rubber part. There's a long rubber piece underneath that. So that's got to be loosened. because when we pull it out, we're going to actually slide that rubber piece right off of it when we lift it up. Then once that's taken loose, if you see right there, there was a cover on that, and it is, looks like such. It was right there, covering that. So I took that loose. Once I took that loose, those are also 10 millimeter. There was 2 wires in here. Those have to be unbolted, which were also 10 millimeters. And then you can pop this right out. Now all the wiring is disconnected, and we're gonna just shove it over here in the corner so we can get to everything a little better. And then if you look down here over our where the drive shaft yokes meet up, there's a plastic cover over that. You can see there's a little bolt down there. It looks like a 10 millimeter too, and I think it clips in on the bottom of the motor, which they should just slide right out. They're little plastic pins holding it to the bottom of the motor. So once we get that loose, we'll lift it up a little bit and see if we can't take the bolts, or not lift it up, but we'll try to get these bolts out of the mounts. If you see that one inside there, we're just going to take that one loose. You could take the 2 loose from the boat itself, but that would just make things more difficult. It's more bolts and everything too. These aren't that bad to get to. There's 4 of them. One here, one on the front 2 corners, and then the one on the other side in the back. So they're not that bad to get to, as long as you got a long extension and a swivel. You can get to them pretty easily. And then once we get all those unbolted, we can jack the motor up a little bit, take the ground loose from the starter. There's another ground too back here somewhere that we got to take loose. Right there. That bolt, we got to pull that bolt out. That's the ground. It grounds this motor to that motor, so they're grounded together. So once we get those taken loose and we can jack it up a little bit, we can get to the starter, because the starter is a nightmare to get to if you don't take the motor out altogether. So anyway, let me get started, and once we're done with that, then we'll show you, we'll see if we can't get it jacked up. Hopefully we can get it out tonight. I was really hoping to do that, but then I was told I needed the motor grass, so it got dark. Anyway, we'll see how far we get. Alright, so I got all the nuts and bolts loose that need to be taken loose, except for, as I said before, the starter, and I think there's another hose down there I need to unhook, but it's kind of hard to get to. So once we get it up in the air a little bit, we will go ahead and check that out. On these motors, they actually already have mounts to pull it out with. So there's one in the front here, which you can actually fish chain through, and then that's what I did anyway. And then on the back, these holes are actually not big enough for the chain to go through, so you got to get, you know, a big washer and a nut and a bolt, and then bolt your chain to it, and that should work. And right now the pulley is towards the back, but I'm going to move it up towards the front because I want to pull the front up before I pull the back up, so that I can get it out of there properly, because the front needs to come up first in order to clear this lip right here, because, you know, it's kind of tight. Once you get it up, you can pull it out of the yoke, which is in the back. See, I pulled that piece of plastic I was talking about out, and you can see the yoke down there. That's that little gear looking thing down there is what you have to slide it out of. And we're going to be sliding the exhaust pipe out too. I'm going to try it without taking that apart. It was a pain in the butt with that on there to get to that back motor mount bolt, but I got it. So we're going to try to do it with that piece attached. It's just loose, so hopefully it'll slide right out of that exhaust right there in the back, and we'll be able to where the C-clamp is in the bottom. Hopefully that slides right out of there, and we won't have a problem there. But we'll see. Here we go. Also, you gotta get the starter off. I found the easiest way to do this is to jack it up, get the ground loose, and get the bolt. There's 2 bolts on the back of the starter. I'm gonna get in here and show you where they are. So there's the one. Oh, golly. Okay, so there's one, and just on the other side of that wire loom, there's another one. Let's see if I can move this out of the way. Yeah, there. Okay, so there's 2 holes. So that's your starter. That wire loom is the hot that goes to the top of the starter, which is a nightmare to get to from this angle. So I've found the best route to do this is basically to pull the starter out of the motor and just leave the hot connected to it and throw it over to the side or whatever. Make sure you turn the power off, of course, to your motor. Of course, you want to do that at the beginning. But once we get the starter loose, basically that's the only thing holding the boat in. And sometimes these starters can be in there and be tight, so it might take a minute for you to get it loose. So anyway, yeah, that's that. Alright, so we got it up and out. I spun it around to see if I could maybe try to do what I needed to do with it right here. But unfortunately, I can't. I'm gonna have to get it out of the boat and look at it. And it looks like there's some oil leaking under there from up in there for some reason. I don't know why. Shouldn't be no water, shouldn't be no oil coming out of there. So we need to get it out of here and take a better look at it, take it apart, see what's going on. So, but that's it. It's pretty much how to pull this old motor out of here. And basically what I got to do is I winch it all the way up as high as I can get it and either close the lid or try to move the boat with the lid open, depends on how high I can get the motor. But yeah, once I get it up and high enough, I'll figure that out and move the boat. But yeah, I take these shocks loose from here. See the shock hanging there, and it attaches to that little nipple there. And then there's another one over here. I do the same thing with that one so that it'll fold back. That way I don't have to take the whole thing off, because then, you know, I'd have to put the whole thing back on. And there's a whole bunch of screws holding that hinge on there. So anyway, I can close it back quickly after I get the motor out and in the garage. So anyway, let me get to work. And thanks for guys for watching, and please like and subscribe if you like my videos. And if you know anybody else, please share your videos, my videos, on your page. Thanks again. Good night.